Welcome to Spiritual Ambition, where we tune in to awaken our divine nature and explore the provocative inner force compelling us toward our fullest potential. If you've achieved external success but feel a deeper calling, if you're tired of dimming your light to fit in, and you know there's a more powerful way to live and lead and love, you're in the right place. Host Donna Bond is a best-selling author, modern-day high priestess, and catalyst for personal transformation. Together, we're birthing a new paradigm of loving leadership, integrating our humanity with divine wisdom as our individual awakening serves collective evolution. Here's your host of Spiritual Ambition, Donna Bond.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome if you're tuning in for the first time. Stop if you're scrolling and you hear my voice. Come on in and join us today. We are going to go on a very fun journey and speak with a very special guest. You know, you have a code inside of you, and it's a design, it's a pattern, it's an imprint of your soul, and it holds within it magic. And my intention for today's show is that you remember the true magnificence of all of you, of who you are at the level of your essence. Today, we're going to speak with someone who is going to enliven that essence in a circle of 64 archetypal allies, each one of those a living code waiting to help you unlock this divine design that lives inside of you, that is your authentic, true expression. Today, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to explore this language of these mythic allies and these different aspects that are contained within your blueprint. And the more we befriend all of the aspects of ourselves, the more we can move more fully into our wholeness. And when we're in our wholeness, then we can align with our purpose and our hearts and our loving. This is Spiritual Ambition. This is episode number 22. I am Donna Bond. Our show today is called Unlocking Your Divine Blueprint. As we always do, we're going to center ourselves in our heart space. I'm going to invite you, unless of course you're operating heavy machinery or driving a car, to close your eyes. Close your eyes and just notice this beautiful vehicle that you chose, surprise, this beautiful vehicle that you chose as your escort through this life. Just take a nice deep centering breath and just letting that go. Knowing we are here to tune in to our divine nature. Infinite universe, we call ourselves forward into your loving. We ask to be cleared, filled, surrounded, and protected with the clear white light of living love. We ask that any karma, negativity, or imbalance, any constriction, restriction, contraction, old ideas, false notions, limiting beliefs, any energy or vibrational frequency that is vibrating at anything less than the frequency of divine loving that may be residing anywhere in our consciousness with a resonant frequency less than divine loving, we ask that all of that just now be lifted and transmuted, carried to the highest realms of light and sound, and dispersed back into the knowing, into the nothingness. Into this space, we recognize grace, peace, light, love, joy, upliftment, liberation, aliveness, creativity, forward motion. We acknowledge and we welcome only those divine beings of light who love each one of us unconditionally, who work for the divine plan and who work for the light. We welcome only you into our sacred space here today, keeping in mind each of our unique destinies. We ask for your support and assistance in bringing forward healing, revelation, and wisdom of the heart that will resonate most profoundly with each individual here for their highest good or the highest good of all concerned. We are grateful and we say thank you. So be it. Hello, everyone who's joining us in the chat. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for coming, for joining us. Amy, Jody, Labyrinthia Criteria. That's a mouthful. Woohoo! Kay Weezy, hello to you. Everybody at the Sacred Spiral Network, thank you for being here. All right, well, listen, I am a little bit nervous about our guest today because I am just truly in awe of her brilliance and her genius. And my first experience with her, she gave me I think it was called a soul reading, and I'll ask her to talk about it. I was blown away. I was really needing at this time in my life to sort of be called forward from my own higher presence. And I experienced this incredible gift of this soul reading as a direct message from my soul. And it was so resonant and it was so real, and it articulated knowingness that I had that I wasn't able to see or align with until it was being reflected to me. And our guest today, Ashley Nicole, she reflected to me the brilliance and magnificence of my soul. And she has this magical power. I mean, I don't know what else to call it, of being able to assimilate and integrate some brilliant systems that she has not only made sense out of, but she has developed a methodology through these archetypes that bring all of these systems to life in a way that is easily understood of how these archetypes are enlivened through our experience. So I want to share with you her actual bio, and then we're going to bring her on and we're going to have a conversation about all of this. But my intention for you today, truly, I said this earlier, but we don't take the time to honor the journey that we make in this life at the deepest level, and really bringing in reverence and awe for your own magnificence, for the unique individualized expression of divine magnificence that you are in motion. You know, we get so caught up in the land of the ego with our criticisms and our judgments and our struggles and our woe is me, and we distract our attention from the truth. And the truth is that all of it is delicious. All of it is for us. All of it is part of our learning journey in this thing called life. So Ashley Nicole has a brilliance that I have found incredibly resourceful for my own journey. And I can't wait to share her with all of you. I do want to send light in our sacred circle of light, as we always do, where our community comes together to intentionally send healing energy and divine love to anybody around the globe who might need it most. So if you know someone who is struggling with any challenges, facing difficulties right now, and could just use that extra heartfelt upliftment, feel free to drop their name in the chat. We are sending light and we are encircling in light today Betty and Bob, Nicole, Alla, David, Celia and Don, Celia, Chantel, Carrie, Paul. Anybody else in the chat? Hello, everyone. All right, well, we are going to just send that light up ahead to anyone who might be in need of receiving it. Thank you. All right, Ashley Nicole is the creator of the 64 Archetypes system and the founder of Unlock Your Design, as well as the new author of Walking the Wheel with the 64 Archetypes. She serves as an authentic self-expression coach and mentor through her unique integration of Gene Keys, human design, astrology, and embodiment practices, which include archetypal embodiment, somatic movement, vocal toning, sound therapy, and creative expression. Ashley helps awakening souls align with their divine blueprint. Her work transforms abstract chart knowledge into living, embodied wisdom, activating your inner child's enthusiasm and creative spark. Who doesn't need more of that in their life? Ashley believes that when you find peace in being yourself, you stop comparing and competing with others, allowing you to fully express your genius and show up healed, whole, and empowered. Without any more of my rambling, let's welcome to the stage Ashley Nicole.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello. Thank you so much for being here. Ashley, I want to invite you to take us back to wherever you were, however old you were, when you first began to notice the synergies between all of these systems. And if you can talk a little bit about highlighting those systems and like give a gold nugget without going into the whole big long thing. But for any of our viewers who don't know about all of these systems that you are so well versed in. But what I'm really curious in hearing from is like, when did you know inside of yourself that you were able to see some synergies and some connections that may not be obvious to the rest of us?
Yeah. I guess I've always had that particular gift of finding the things below the surface. I've always been really intuitive, but what led me on this journey of self-discovery was like that big question of who am I and what is my purpose? And I grew up as a good girl, as the one that followed the rules, as the one that I was not a rebel. I was not a change maker. I literally was just this, I was like a teacher's pet. Like, what do I need to do to get the A? What do I need to do what I need to do here? And so I did the things I was supposed to do. I got married. I went to college. I had children. And there was a part of me that felt restless, that felt like I wasn't being true to me, that I didn't really know who I was. And I wanted to find that out. And so after I had my third son, all my kids woke me up, by the way. They were the ones that woke me up. They were my biggest gifts. And so after I had my third son, I was like, oh, I'm not happy, like that really deep happiness. I felt guilt for not being happy with what I had. I had gratitude, but there was this desire in me for more. I meant for more. And so I went out looking and searching and seeking. For those of you that know astrology, I'm a Capricorn ascendant rising, which just means like I was always meant to go in business. Like my spiritual journey and knowing myself was the entrepreneurial journey. So I did all the things in the past, like network marketing, like all moms, stay-at-home moms do. Let's go into a network marketing job. And that was amazing. And I learned so much about myself and my talents. And while I was at a event, an entrepreneurial event, I was approached by this man and he wanted to see my charts. And I was like, charts? What do you mean charts? What are charts? And he like picked up his phone and he showed me a human design chart and a gene key chart. And I looked at these things and I was like, this is what I was looking for. This, I feel like I understand it already. I don't know what the heck this is, but I feel like I know it. I get it. And that was
I
the
have
moment
chills
that
as you're speaking. Like I can feel the vault of energy as you're speaking. I have the chills.
it's, I mean, the universe, God, source brings the right people into your life to bring you on that next journey, that next quest, that next adventure. You have that knock on the door, the call to adventure. That was my call to adventure. And I had been asking and praying, like, who am I? What's my purpose? And then I get a system like Gene Keys and Human Design that's there to decode that. So I have words for who I am. And then I start deconditioning myself from the good girl and the person I needed to be to survive in the different environments that I grew up in. And I started to give myself permission to know myself and be myself. And the universe kept bringing me different people. And as I started to master these systems and really start to integrate them, I started to get these visions of like a hallway of doors. And the doors could be unlocked and there was things behind them. And then I started to getting ideas of Gene Keys is a system of self-discovery. You pull up a chart on the Gene Key website and it gives you all these different numbers. And you're like, what do these numbers mean? What do these circles mean? And they do a really good job of taking you through the hero's journey of, okay, let's unlock your genius. Let's help you transform through your relationships. You want to be prosperous? You want abundance? Let's go into the Pearl sequence. So it has all these really cool ways to get to know yourself. And so that's kind of the hero's journey, where human design tends to be, it's very logical, it's very practical. It's like a map of how your energy flows and works. You have this body graph that looks like a human with centers that kind of look like chakras. And you're like, what do I do with these? What do they mean? And so each of these systems has their own language. Richard Rudd made the Gene Keys. He's very poetic. The way he writes is very much creative. Ra Uru Hu was the creator of human design, and the way he describes things is, he's a cynic, so it's kind of sometimes doom and gloom, and people like Karen Curry Parker have evolved his system to be more empowering. And anyways, those are the two systems that I was introduced to, and later a deeper dive into astrology. But I was tired of these systems being separate, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go over here to learn about Gene Keys, but somehow I knew that it was linked to human design. And if you match like this, you can decode the spheres and understand that they're the same as different planetary activations in human design. If I haven't lost you yet, I'm sorry. There's a lot of system language. Anyways, I wanted to simplify the system language and I wanted everything to be in one place. And the universe again brought me another amazing human to help me make the visual that I kept getting of the 64 doors, like the hallway of doors, a reality. I wanted to make an online space where we can take all the information from Gene Keys and human design and put it in one place. And so a woman that I was interacting with said, you need to connect with Bella Crystal. And so I connected with her and said, hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you want to help me do this? And so she helped me create the 64 doors, which became the 64 archetypes. And from after that, I just continued to develop them and add more things to them and help translate them, I suppose. But the thing that all these things have in common is that the field of 64 gene keys, 64 human design gates, 64 I Ching hexagrams, which is older than all these systems, they all are tuning into a matrix, a field that codes humanity, that codes you. And all these different 64 pieces come together and alchemize and make who you are. So you can learn about these pieces of your puzzle in gene keys, in human design, in the 64 archetypes. You can connect with them. And that helps you understand yourself, master yourself, know yourself. And then you share your mastery with the world. It helps you get in rhythm with you and on purpose. And that was the biggest gift that I ever got. I started to understand who I was. And I've always been a teacher. I went to school to be a teacher, an elementary teacher, didn't do that. But I'm teaching now. And these systems have changed my life. And I just want more people to have access to them.
Amazing. Well, thank you for your service in the world and what you've created, because I find it nothing less than extraordinary. Share with us about the archetypes and walking the wheel and this circle of these allies, as you describe them, and how these archetypes can be animated through our life in such a way that we begin to know ourselves more deeply.
Yeah. So the 64 archetypes were a solution to, a little problem that I was seeing in Gene Keys and Human Design is that we have these abstract concepts, and how can I connect with these gates, these gene keys more deeply? And we're human and we all crave connection and relationship. And so what better way to know yourself than to get into relationship with yourself? And so by connecting to these 64, we can begin to create relationship by kind of making them more human. And that's where the archetypes came from, is let's make a connection with these parts. And so we're made up of, 28 different archetypes, give or take, if you have multiple archetypes in different places. And these make up your personality. They make up a conscious personality that you're like, oh yeah, I can recognize that in me. And they make up stuff that's under the surface that maybe you don't recognize initially, but they're there and they're running behind the scenes. And so as you pull up your gene key chart or your human design chart and you see these numbers, a gene, like the 17th gene key is the same as the 17th gate, is the same as the 17th archetype. And so you can utilize any of these systems to be able to get to know the 17 in you, through you. And when you connect with the archetypes, they become this kind of ally that you are, it's you're going into you. You're not on this external quest and journey where you're meeting this archetype outside of you, although you can in other people. You'd be like, oh, you have the 17. I can tell you have the 17. It feels like you have that. I can feel that.
Intelligence. What is it? So what's the archetype?
What's the archetype?
What's the archetype for the 17?
Oh, the 17 is called the discoverer. So the 17 gives you a higher perspective. So if you're like trying to, focus on something, and, when you're not looking at all the different perspectives, you start to get narrow-minded, narrow-focused. You form an opinion of something, but there's multiple opinions of that thing. I always say with the 17, if you go into a dark room and you can't see anything and you're putting your hands out and you're like, okay, and then you reach something, you're like, what is this? And so with the limited perception you have, you're feeling a tail and you're like, okay, this is an animal and it has a tail. But if someone else was in the room and they're in a different side, they're touching it and they're like, okay, there's horns. Someone else, okay, there's udders. Well, when we have all that data, we're like, oh, it's a cow. There's a cow in there. But if you're just feeling a tail, you're like, it's a lion. I know this has to be a lion, but it's not a lion. So we want to collect different perspectives and not get caught up on one opinion with our limited view. The shadow is farsightedness, the shadow is opinion, where we form an opinion and we're solid on that opinion. We're projecting that opinion. It's this, it has to be this. Farsightedness is opening up our bandwidth to like receive more perspectives. Omniscience is the highest frequency of the discoverer. And this comes from Gene Keys. Shadow Gift City is a Gene Key thing. And omniscience is all seeing, all knowing. It's connected to, the third eye. It's like we have a spiritual vision. We are human. We have limited perception. When we tune into a higher perception, we can see more, interpret more, understand more. And so the goal is to be able to tune into that higher vision, to be able to understand and name the thing. The 17 works with the 62. They come together as allies, and they're here to see the bigger picture and then be able to take them into pieces and say, that's a tail, that's a horn, that's an udder. And then in the biggest picture, it's a cow. So we're not just getting distracted by the parts. We're saying, it's a cow. It's this bigger thing. And even language is limiting, Would it be called a cow in the spiritual I don't know. Language is limiting. But it helps us understand things by being able to name it. Yeah.
Yes. And so you have understood all of this data, and you have been able to come up with these archetypal creative names that almost give these flavors and these frequencies a personality. Is that a good way to see it?
Yeah, it's a personality. And when you begin to recognize that in you, you understand like there's low expressions of that archetype and there's higher expressions. And so we want to recognize what's coming through you, what's playing through you. And we work with it to be able to help us get more into the gift frequency, get more into the exalted expressions of the archetype. And I think mostly the main thing is we want to love ourselves. And so we want to welcome all parts of us home. Your episode that we're in right now is the 22. And this one is it's the invitation. It's the invitation to grace. And the invitation calls us to look at our emotions and say, you have a space here, joy. You have a space here, sadness. All of you get to sit around the table. You're all welcome here. And in that, right, they're accepted, they're seen. And the 22 the invitation is highly creative, is highly magical. It has this ability to, hold the energy of a room. It has this graciousness, and it has this ability to just entertain and enliven a space with its creativity. It's poetic. It's a singer. It's a dancer. It has this aura of, you feel welcome there. You know that you have a seat at the table. And I know that that's in your design too. So
twice.
Yeah. So emotions are a huge focal point of this archetype. And so each of the archetypes are going to have, a purpose, a focal point. And when you get to know them, you get to know what do they care about. And when you have all these archetypes inside of you, you realize, oh, I care about that. I care about this and that. Some archetypes, they're opposites. And so you do have conflicting things in you. That's where we get our conflict and our friction that happen inside of us. But when we can learn to accept all parts, we don't exile the archetypes, we bring them home, we bring them in. And in that, we get harmony, we get peace, we get love, because we're not exiling different parts. We're saying, you have a seat at the table. You may not get to drive the car. You may not get the mic, but you are welcome here. And I know all you want is love. So we'll give you love, but you're not going to go sit at the kiddie table. You can sit here with us and you're welcome here and you can learn from us. And we're going to learn to be in harmony together. And so working with the archetypes, working with yourself brings you into harmony, peace, and love within you. The more you get to know them.
Is it possible for you to give us an example of how two opposing archetypes might be colliding with each other, and how a dynamic like that can get worked out?
Pick a number from 1 to 64.
The number 8 just popped in. And I don't know, the number 8.
Okay. So 8, we call it the influencer. And the 8, let's see, the programming partner of the 8 is the 14. So we're looking at opposing forces. So the 8 happens to be, now I'm really testing myself if I could be this versatile. I think it's Gemini. Yes, it's Gemini. And the 14 is on the cusp of Scorpio and Sagittarius. Yes. And so Gemini and Sagittarius are opposing forces, right? Gemini is communication. It is small journeys. Sagittarius is higher education, is long journeys. And the 14, the powerhouse archetype, lives in the sacral. It lives where there's life force, there's energy, there's power, and it wants to do the work. And the 8 on the other side of that is in the throat, and it wants to market, it wants to express, it wants to take a creation and put it out into the world. So this is the influencer. It has this ability to be contagious. It has this ability to say, hi, you want to buy into this. This is what you want. You like this creativity. I'm going to put it out there. It's very unique. It's about unique style, right? And the 14, it doesn't care about style. It cares about taking the resources and investing them in projects and things that it cares about, because the sacral is about saying yes. It's taking your life force and it's channeling into projects and things that matter to you, and more so that your body says yes to. So the 14 and the 8 happen to be opposing forces, but they can come together because the 8 can convince the 14 to take its energy and contribute to humanity, to society with it. It's like, how are you going to take this and give it some flair, give it some style? How can you take your competence of you're really good at this, and how can you bring it out and share it into the world? So the 8 is in a way giving it an expression, letting all of the work it's doing behind the scenes have an expression. So they want to work together. But if we're in the shadow of compromise and we're compromising our energy and we're saying yes to tasks and things that don't light us up, and we're just doing it, and we're like, kind of like, maybe I'll throw this spaghetti at the wall and it'll stick, or maybe I'll do this and maybe I'll invest in this, but then they realize I'm getting no return on investment. I just keep compromising. And then, right, it doesn't know where to channel its energy. And the 8, if it is in mediocrity, if it is not shining like the bright diamond it is, it's not getting seen. Nobody's looking at it. No, it's not contagious anywhere. So in these shadows, right, this one's utilizing its life force, its energy in a way that just drains it and depletes it. And then this one, the 8 is not in its uniqueness. It's afraid to show who it is. It's afraid to be in its uniqueness and its style. So it's not being seen. So the energy is not being used appropriately. It's not being seen. If they work together and bridge together, we have this uniqueness, this flair, this energy has a channel. It has a place to put itself. It has a place to share its life force, its resources that can create creations that then that then can inspire people, because it's individual. It just cares about getting its unique creativity out. And when you do that, you share your art, you share your poems, you share your dance, you share your voice, and people get inspired, like, whoa, I want to share my voice. Whoa, I want to write like this. Whoa, that's a really cool product. That's a really cool thing. So they can, although they don't care about the same things, they can work really well together. So we want to bridge them together. And it helps get your individual creativity out in the world to be seen, to be recognized, to be utilized. And, things like that change the world. Music has transformed the world. So,
Yes.
And it's not just music, but I just use that as an example.
And is this speaking to how you would describe the embodiment piece and embodying your archetypes?
Right. So if you wanted to embody the 8, you would need to go inside of yourself to really start to uncover, how am I different? And how is my difference a strength? And what is fresh and new in me that I have to be. Like, people with the 8 have a very unique style, and they are trendsetters. They're not here to copy anyone. They're not here to be like, oh, what's the latest fad? As soon as it's a fad, the 8 doesn't care about it, because it's a trailblazer. It's here to bring the new, and it's here to contribute to something new. So the way that you would embody the 8 is you have to accept and love your uniqueness. And in order to do that, you have to see your uniqueness. You need to know your uniqueness. So get these systems in your hands, in your hot little hands, and then get to know yourself. And you're going to know, how am I a creative rebel? How am I doing things different? Who am I? I mean, we're not getting into comparison and competition, because nobody can do anything the way that you can, right? If someone said, draw a picture of a horse, and you drew it, and the other person, it would be different. We wouldn't draw it the same. If someone said, like, oh, go put on your like best outfit, the 8 is going to have something that nobody else would have thought to combine together. They are just different. They have something unique about them, and they know how to style something to make people like, wow, I've never seen that before. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. It's this contagious viral energy where it's like, whoa, that's unique, or that's weird, or that's whatever. But that's how trends start, you know? And the 14, the powerhouse, it asks you, am I compromising? Am I compromising my gifts? Am I compromising in my relationship? Am I compromising in my work? And that's going to look like doing things because you have to, because there's an expectation. It's the compromise comes from, where what you're wanting to do. For example, people do this all the time, right? What happens when you're in a 9 to 5, when you're in corporate, right? And it's soul sucking. And you're like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm a robot. I'm not supposed to be here. I want to start my spiritual business, but I can't leave this until I have money. You're compromising on a day-to-day basis because you're waiting to have enough money or something moving over here to leave what you have here. But your soul is saying, that doesn't matter. We need to be doing this, and then it will come. But so many times we sacrifice, we sell our souls for foundation, income, certainty. But on the other, like, there is something you're supposed to be putting your life force and energy to. So the compromise, so we need to look at our lives and be like, am I making any compromises? What is the fire in my belly telling me I need to be doing? There's a fire in each of us. There's a creative fire in each of us that says, I want to channel this energy towards this, right? You know it, you feel it, but we don't always allow it to drive the car, take the reins. We're like, no, that is immature, that's unwise, that is not practical, that is we have all these excuses, but we're just compromising. Or we do things that is in our zone of, I can do it, but do I love doing it? No. Like a barista at Starbucks, you're like, I'm just going to do this for a while to like fund college. I'm just going to do this. And then you end up staying there forever. And you're like, is this really what I did with my life? And you probably have a skill that could have been utilized, but you're in your zone of competence. You're not in your zone of genius. You don't want to push yourself to get into that zone of genius, because it's also a big leap to get into that zone. So we stay in the comfortable versus taking the leap into maybe where we're supposed to be. It's the edge. Can you get to the edge? And so we're compromising by playing it safe. So we don't want to do that. So that's the practical, like, we got to look at our life. We got to take that perspective and be like, where am I compromising? Yeah, the 8 and the 14.
Thank you. Your brilliance with this. I'm astounded by it every time. Your fluency and the depth of knowledge that you have just with each of these aspects. I'm always impressed.
Oh.
No playing it safe, please. Yeah. So if somebody you and I can riff around and talk about all this lingo because we know it and we love it. What's the first step for somebody who is just learning about all of these things? Maybe your book is that first great step to help somebody
Yeah.
begin to familiarize themselves with their gifts and their divine gifts, so they can see the glimmers that can invite them out of the shadow patterns, like compromise, right? We get stuck in those shadow patterns because we buy into the misunderstanding that there isn't anything else. And that's a lie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how can your work support people in seeing more of their own brilliance?
Yeah, thanks. Well, always the first step is to make sure you have your blueprint, whether you are drawn to create a human design chart or a gene key chart. I haven't found a way to create a chart through the archetypes yet, although that'll be in the works and I'm speaking to people, but it's not out there yet. So you will need a human design or a gene key chart, just like Dawn has. Yes, exactly. And they have numbers on them. There's numbers on them and you're like, okay, what do these numbers mean? Now, like I said, you can go and you can learn about those numbers in the Gene Key book or a human design book. But if you just take that number, and I have a book, it's called Walking the Wheel with the 64 Archetypes, and we can talk about walking the wheel means in a moment, but the 64 archetypes, it's a comprehensive list of them. And then it has all their correspondences, like what does it mean in the gene keys? What does it mean in human design? What does it mean in astrology? All of those little details and tidbits. But if you're brand new to all of that, you just skip over that and you read the description of this archetype and you feel into, do I resonate with this? Is this something I can connect to? Because all you need to do is have an awareness of this archetype that lives in you and then recognize, can I identify with this? Do I see this in myself? And then you start to create a relationship. So that's the book that I have out right now that has all the 64 archetypes and a description of each of them. I also have a free website that I have, the 64doors.com, that also connects you to a free resource that shows all of those correspondences. And then you can get to know the archetypes that are there. Yeah. It's just a simple way to be able to connect with the archetype and then recognize it. And then you start to get to know it in you. And that sends you on your whole little hero's journey of, okay, well, in human design, it's sitting in this little square. And what does that mean? And it's called Lala. So you can utilize these systems to help you get more understanding of them. Or you can just, I have courses that bridge the gap between human design, gene keys, and astrology. So you don't have to go everywhere to try to find the details. I just stuck all the details in one place. And it's easy peasy. All right, let's read the description and then let's do a little bit of study and digging. Some of you will want to be studying and getting into the details, and some of you will just want to kind of flow with it and be like, and then today I'm tuning into this, and today it's not going to be structured. You just have to figure out how you learn best, and then just keep taking that next step one at a time to get to know yourself better.
Yeah. It's such a revelation again and again and again. And, I, of course, have your new book, Walking the Wheel and the 64 Archetypes. And I, of course, am mapping them on top of my Gene Key profile. And I had an awareness today, as a matter of fact, on what's called the path of breakthrough on the Gene Key map. I have the librarian on one side, and I have the warrior of light on the other. And I was like, wow, that's so Clark Kent. It's, you know what I mean? It's so Superman in a way that
you got your glasses on and then your glasses off.
Right. You know what I mean? I had this awareness and I was like, that kind of fits in a weird sort of a way for me.
Yeah. That pathway of breakthrough is a really big, and that comes from Gene Keys, and it's the Gene Key terminology, but it's a way to bridge the mind to the body, to the soul, to who you are at your core. We get stuck in the challenge of our mind, but when we start to break through that, we start to unlock all this light and radiance in us. So we're shining more. So we want to uncover what kind of superhero we are. We want to see what's inside of us, because there's a genius inside of us that wants to come out. And we get, like you said, glimmers of these things that pop out. And sometimes there's people who are very, very unaware of their gifts, because they are best when they're recognized. They need to be able to be recognized to be like, oh, I'm good at that. I just thought everybody can do this. No, you're like fantastic at this. And so they need people to tell them and to reflect to them. So sometimes these systems also help reflect, this is who you are. And
Yes.
it's just about finding the right definition for you, because some people, in the way that they explain it, it might not land, but then maybe someone else explains it in a certain way and you're like, whoa. And that's why it's really great to be able to go into Gene Keys, Human Design, the 64 archetypes, because you want to figure out what language is going to land in you. It's just finding that way to communicate with your soul. And if you are archetypal or love making connections with people, then you're going to like the 64 archetypes. If you're right-brained and you're poetic and you're artistic in the art of contemplation, and that's going to be Richard Rudd. He's a mystic. He's a poet. And if you are practical and logical and left brain, you're going to go with Ra Uru Hu, because that's who he is. We're all so unique. And guess what? Like I said, there's a field of 64 and we all translate it different. You're going to translate the archetypes and the things too, because it's coming through your filter and you're going to communicate it in a different way. Richard and Ra and me and everybody else, they're tuning into that field and translating it. And it's just helping us understand who we are. And people need to hear it, from different mouths to be able to be like, yeah, that's the way I needed to hear it. And then it's like something unlocks in you and you're like, it landed a different way.
I have a theory about this that I want to talk about, but we have a question here from Naked Meditation. And I would like you to
naked meditation. That's
about
cool.
this a little bit. Can you talk about what if you have the same number or the same archetype multiple times in different places?
Yeah. Okay. So if you're looking at your gene key chart or your human design chart and you see that a number is in different places, what that means is that it's important for you, because it's an archetype that has more of a stronghold and a footing in you, right? That's the easy way to look at it. But if we're trying to understand why, we want to look to your natal wheel, which is astrology. And all that means is that you have 2, 3, 4 planets in the same position in the sky at the time you were born. So you might have Jupiter and Venus conjunct together in the sky in gate 12. That means you have a stellium, meaning multiple planets hanging out in the same position. And so that's going to mean that archetype is going to be boop, 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 really important for you. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's already going to be a big player. So if you look at in human design, your Jupiter activations, those are going to be important for you. It's your law. It's your everyday protocol. It's how you live your life and what's really important for you, right? If you translate Jupiter into gene keys, that's your culture sphere, that's your pearl. If you put your gene keys and human design side by side, you're going to notice that the numbers are repeating. You're going to be able to start to match and decode gene keys to know, oh, Richard created this profile. My life's work is my sun. So easy for people to everybody knows their sun sign, but then we get specific and you learn your sun gate, your sun gene key, your sun archetype. And that's a heavy hitter. That's a big player. It's your role. It's your identity. It's who you are in the world. It's how you're shining. So we're looking at these and getting to know.
Which leads me to another question, which is not the question that I was going to ask you before, but I am curious about the evolution of the archetypes, because I happen to have gene key number 21 in my life's work. And I remember before that it was titled like the manager.
Yep.
And I was so bummed out about that. I was like,
the 21 as an archetype. The 21 as an archetype was bummed out about that too. It didn't want to be pigeonholed. But that's okay. So here's the thing.
Now you call it
the steward.
The steward. Thank you.
Because it's steward. Okay, so let me explain that, because there are multiple archetypes that had an evolution of the name. And some of them, it's because they're rebellious and they're like, do not limit me. AKA the 21 doesn't want to be controlled. What's funny is actually if I go to the 64 Doors website and I go into door 21, when we first created this in 2020, we were trying to figure out what the hell are we going to name the 21, because it's about managing resources. It can be very physical, like managing money, managing properties. Like, say, for example, somebody owns a bunch of apartment buildings. You're going to want to have a manager that's going to be like, are you paying your rent? Like, they're going to be in charge of all the units. And that's what the 21. But so many people are connected and have spiritual authority, or have like authority over different realms, emotional authority. And so that's not going to translate for them, because they're connected and managing and stewarding different things. But the title manager has been so convoluted in human language, because we've already assigned a definition of who's a manager, what's a manager. And sometimes we have really bad experiences with managers. We're like, oh, I hated that manager. And now the term manager just makes you be like, no. And the 21 doesn't want to be controlled. So to be even called manager, like if you have a manager above, you're going to be like, oh, I'm controlled. So it's not, yeah. So, but it comes from a place of it is the one to manage and have authority over something. So if you have the 21, you have to ask yourself, like, what am I being given? What am I being recognized for that I'm in charge of? And some of these people, like if you have the 21, if you have the 45, they're related, and they have a kind of regality or like prestige, or like a lord or a lady or a nobleman, or like you just can feel that they are in charge of more, that they have an authority over something, and you want to give them your authority, whether it be like, help guide me, help direct me, help connect me. And so some people have spiritual authority, and you have the 21, and you can feel like the connection they have to the divine, to the other side. You're like, yeah, they have some kind of authority. Like Jesus, you can feel Jesus's authority, the spiritual authority he had, the connection he had. And all he's also doing is trying to connect us to the divine in us. Like, yes, you have it too. You have authority too. You have sovereignty too. And so the manager in the shadow, it's about control, but it's helping people find their inner authority. And it's not about controlling others or the circumstances. It's about recognizing the innate sovereignty and authority that we all have. But sometimes we need someone to come in to manage things, to help us move through things. And so they're going to be recognized. And so the manager was also called the lion, the dentist, the champion, flow. This is what other people, when they were translating the archetypes, they said, I really connect to it in this way. There was somebody, his name is Dallas Michael, and he has a 21, I think 3 or 4 times, and he called it flow. And each of them had alternate views, and then they wrote why they named it that. Timothy Brainerd, who actually was the one to help us name some of them, a lot of them, and he has his own body of work called the 64 Angels. And he brought through the 64 in another unique way. He called it the champion, right? And there is something about having the king and his army, or the warriors and all of that. And there is, a higher authority that has things, has abundance, has land, has houses, has money. And it's like, well, I need someone to help me manage this. So then they are the ones to recognize, I want you. I think you would be great. And the 21 is very good about keeping track of what is there. And yeah.
And I think the steward is a good representation, right, of exactly what you're describing when it comes to this archetype.
Yeah, and it may evolve again, but the steward has to do with like a sheep, the shepherd and his flock. Like, what are we stewarding? What are we shepherding? Yes. So that's just what we have to identify with, instead of maybe the lower vibrational term of manager, because we've all had different experiences with managers. Yeah. But do we hear steward that much? I like
that word shepherding too, and that definitely resonates with me. And I think in my work and sort of what I'm here stewarding with these, ancient wisdom teachings that we get to share. So
wouldn't that be something that you would have authority over, that you were channeling, that was being like gifted to you? Like, I'm going to put this in your hand. And there's something about the 21 that also knows I have a responsibility. this is like, you can feel the weight of what it is you're stewarding and managing, right?
Yeah. This is a very big question on the screen. I'm just looking at the time. It goes by so quickly.
I know.
I actually, we're going to move into the celebration of Love's Alchemy just because I really want to tip our hat and nod to what we're going to give our love to today. But I want to just acknowledge you one more time and say thank you for this incredible body of work that you are delivering to the world, and how beautifully accessible each of these archetypes really truly are in helping people see themselves, understand themselves at a deeper level, come home to themselves and their gifts and their own brilliance. So I just thank you so much, Ashley, for what you're doing and for finding your way back to yourself. It's such an inspiration, and like, you're such an inspiration to give hope and upliftment to everybody out there who might still be stuck in the seeking piece of all of it. You know, this is a way that we can really, we don't need to be fixed. We just need to move into acceptance of all of our aspects, all of our places. So stay with us. I just want to go through the celebration of Love's Alchemy. This is our gentle pause to just recognize the extraordinary magic woven through our everyday lives. Every episode, we take a moment of loving celebration for something that might seem ordinary or even contrary at first glance, but it holds within it a spark of brilliance as we celebrate and remind ourselves why we chose to take a body and to come here to human land. So everything from the sweetness of a juicy orange to the blessing of an emotional trigger, we turn our attention to the less obvious causes for celebration and the things that we might be taking for granted. Through loving appreciation and gratitude, we uplift ourselves and our vibration with the power of love, sending ripples of good juju out and across the planet. As alchemists of upliftment, we turn the seemingly mundane into marvels of magnificence as we see the whole human experience as the alchemy of our wisdom. Today, we are giving our love to our shadow as an ally. Let's celebrate the parts of us that we have been taught to hide or fix or transcend. Those shadow parts that we've labeled as too much or not enough, the qualities that we have exiled, and the frequencies that we have deemed unacceptable. Today, let us realize that they are truly the keys to our most authentic power, to our greatest magic, and to the miracles in our life. So we're going to close our sacred space. I, again, just give you a heartfelt thank you, Ashley, for being here with us. And everyone who joined us here today live, or whether you're catching the replay, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in, for being with us here on Spiritual Ambition. We're grateful for you, and we say thank you. We are now closing all energetic lines of communication between any of us, closing all open portals, gateways, channels, agreements, and lines of communication between any of us and the spirit world. We are grateful to come together. We are grateful to lift our awareness, grateful to open our hearts, to gain a new and different perspective, to realize the magnificence of who we truly are. We are closing the show today in love, with love, for love, by love, as love. Thank you. Tune in again. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.